Hello. Why was I even presenting?
I don't know. Hello. We'll put a clip at the beginning of this, but we took a video of ourselves as the who to win at the start of the match. Right, here we go. Who wins? Brisbane.
Why do we do it to ourselves?
I don't know. And we were incredibly, well, nearly not wrong.
Nearly
Not wrong. But in the end, we were wrong. And for the third time in a row, Super League wins the World Cup Challenge.
Before we start, can we just give props to our setup here? This is the most professional setup. I'm holding the DJI. Meg's holding
my selfie light.
Our arms are both already aching 45 seconds into this shot.
And we're in a car park right outside the stadium because basically I couldn't be bothered to drive all the way to Hull, so I drove to Matt's and then he drove us here. And I'm really embarrassed if any other journalists come to this car park and see us doing this.
Welcome to Simbin Snap. I've done that for a while.
Short. The season's back. We're doing Simbin shorts, but great game. As people were saying, one of the best World Cup challenges we've seen in terms of if you're like a neutral drama. Brilliant to watch, and that comeback from Brisbane.
It was very good to watch.
But I thought, you know what, Michael Maguire summed it up in his post-match press conference. It was a comeback too far. They did it all the time in the finals last year. They didn't have a game in the finals that they didn't win from some kind of mega comeback. But this time, somehow,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. Somehow, Hull KR held them off. I mean, when Mikey Lewis kicked it to Reece Walsh with 40 seconds on the clock,
oh my God!
I thought, please, for the love of God.
Listen, a word on Mikey. I don't want to make this a Mikey Lewis thing, but he didn't have a great game. Look, he was playing at fullback, so you absolutely give him the benefit of the doubt because he's not a fullback. But he got rounded far too easy for that try off the kick-off return.
I think ultimately what happens when he's in fullback is his defensive frailties that are hidden by teammates come to light.
He's got better, because the first try was it his miss?
He missed the line break.
A couple of plays before.
Yeah.
Obviously got rounded too easy, but you give him the benefit of doubt of that because he's a fullback. But they're not finding touch.
Yeah.
At that moment in the game.
And then with 40 seconds kicking directly to Reece Walsh.
Like, oh my God, what are you doing? He didn't have his finest.
But Willie Peters said he thought he played well given the situation.
Yeah, look, it's tough playing at fullback.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from that. You've got to trap more meters. Anyway, let's not talk about Mikey Lewis because there's some players that absolutely deserve raps who Jez Litton, like the NRL are just talking about him.
Well, the one of the questions to the Brisbane team from their own journalists was Jez Litton. He looks like someone we want to have a look at, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
He's the one who's come away with the eyes of the Australian media firmly upon him. Fair enough because he had
he's been awesome for 6 months now, hasn't he?
Yeah. And even in the Ashes when it was poor, he was still strong.
100%. I would argue he's England's best player.
Yeah.
He was the best for me. He was the best player in the comp at the back end of last season. He's the best player in the Ashes. He was the best player on the pitch tonight, maybe barring Dean Hadley, who's just
gutted for him though.
He'll probably just play on.
Yeah. Fractured eye socket though.
He'll just carry on. I feel more sorry for Arthur Morg.
Arthur
Morg. My bad.
I do too, but I feel like from the sounds of it, Willie Peters was saying, look, you don't know with a fractured eye socket when they've actually go and look at it, they don't know what could be the situation, so it could be anything. But yeah, he was a monster.
Freak.
He was just running through them.
There's absolutely no way he wouldn't be in an England squad for me.
Well, funnily enough, I tweeted, side note, if Willie Peters doesn't already have the England job, this should be
if that was a dress rehearsal.
And Mark Wilson, who works for Sky and TalkSport and lots of other things, said Dean Hadley Dean Hadley might get picked, and it's a fair point that we were missing people like that in the Ashes who come out against Brisbane and pull off a performance like that. But yeah, him, Jez Litton. Was there anyone? I thought Minchella had a great
game. I thought he really stood up when they were
under the pump.
The pump. Peter Hick, who started really well, I thought he was flagging by the end.
I thought Lawton
did well off the bench.
And especially with the changes that happened with him at hooker, Jez in the half. You were forgetting that Jez was in the halves.
In the halves, yeah.
He was so good. And yeah, another great day for Super League, I guess. Because the thing is, Brisbane have been here all week. They flew very, very first class. They were in bougie, like, bar in the aeroplane first class.
That's the sort of thing that you would notice.
It is. When I was watching their Instagram stories, like, they were living the high life.
They have taken it seriously. There's no getting away from that. Look,
they also have a head coach who it's not this situation of, oh, they all have no idea about Super League or anything to do. Michael Maguire very much firmly knows about Super League. He
would not have let them not take it seriously.
Well, even in the post-match presser, you could tell he was spitting feathers a bit, wasn't he?
He was.
I think just going down the way they did, it's a bit like, do you know teams of old in kind of like 2006, 7, 8, where it would be like, these drop goals and these magic moments, they had so many of them, and maybe teams are figuring out a way to get too far away from them.
Yeah, they but at the same time, I actually thought yardage wise they were probably winning the battle. Like we said early on, KR was struggling to get out of their own area, but they just came up with catastrophic errors. Tony Staggs drops a ball, Reece Walsh drops a ball, Tony Staggs again at the play of the ball, and KR took the opportunities and bang, it was it. Were they 18 points better at that point? No, but they got 3 good opportunities, they took them all. And that ultimately was where the game was won and lost.
Almost kind of an opposite of Wigan in the grand final, where they had 3 opportunities but just didn't take them.
And KR were clinical. They absolutely were.
I don't think Ezra Mam had a...
No.
I don't understand his selection. I don't...
No.
I'd have had Hunt over him every day.
In a game like that, heavier field...
a stalwart like Hunt who's like done it and would have... probably had the kicking game and the know-how to kind of grind it out a bit more.
I agree.
Thought Pat Carrigan was strong for them again.
Penhouse was good. Reece Walsh came up with some bad plays, but...
that's kind of the trade-off with him, isn't it? It's like, he might have a stinker of a play, but then he comes up with absolute electric magic.
He's like Mikey Lewis on speed.
Yeah. Well, Mikey Lewis, for all we're saying, he did come up with a 40-20.
Yeah, he
massive.
Did. It was massive. It was.
But the thing with Reece is, I think he's just come over here, experienced the Ashes, experienced being the star boy, experienced being the guy who was the difference and was the main man, and the NRL have elevated him. In those moments of elevation, as the likes of a Sam Tompkins can probably tell you, as the likes of, I don't know, I guess maybe a Jack Wellesby post 2020 for a little bit. Yeah. When you're elevated, you then have to deal with.
And Mikey gets that treatment now, doesn't he? Like we're talking about the errors he made.
Yeah.
Would they be scrutinised as much with someone else? No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
No.
Like the trip last week. It would have been stupid whoever did it, but because it was Mikey,
nice to hear him say though on Sky. He said he fully owned up to the trip.
Well, rightly so.
Yeah, and let his teammates down, all that kind of stuff.
He did.
But overall, a win for Super League, and look, 3 in a row. 3 in a row.
I think. Look, I'm not gonna. I've put a few flippant comments out on social media about.
Not like you.
Can we play you every week and don't bring them over because of blowout scores, which nearly blew up in my face horrendously.
It really did.
But I do think we're at a point where we have to stop talking down our competition.
It's been my biggest bugbear for the longest time, is that, look, in football, so like we talk about video refs and all these kind of stuff, we have VAR watch, we have all those things in football, they do that, but then they say we are the greatest game in the world, and the thing is, I wrote a piece on it, like, we have these moments in the spotlight and we need to start harnessing them and going, look at us. We all have that northern thing of like, oh, well, you know, like, of course we did it, but like, we'll now get back to the fight and the grind and we'll move on, and it's just another day and we did this great thing, but whatever. And we actually need to maybe have a bit of arrogance and have a bit of like, we hate doing it, but a bit of shouting about ourselves, because no one else is going to shout.
No, I just think as well, like, if you look at Super League last year, attendance is up, crowds up first round we have 90% occupancy.
Digital's up. We've got a Sellout World Cup challenge.
We've got our newly promoted team who've never played in Super League before, beating the treble winners who've just knocked Brisbane off.
You've got Bradford nearly beating Hull FC. You've got Toulouse beating Wakefield.
Now listen, I'm not delusional. I'm not making out Super League is better than the NRL. It clearly isn't, and I'm not trying to argue that. I'm not in any way.
No,
but I think what we have to start doing is acknowledging our competition's a damn sight better than we give it credit for.
We also have to, like, Hull KR get to walk into Las Vegas next week and go, we just beat your best team. Like, it's putting them on notice.
Yeah,
and
100%.
I feel like we need to. We all have this thing of because the fans and the journalists and everything about us is quite insular, and we're quite afraid of it going wrong because we love it so much that we're almost afraid of it going right as well.
Yeah.
That we can't harness it because it going right will also bring with it scary change.
You know what? With Brian Carney, who said this to me, and someone said it to him. He said, whoever said it to him said, rugby league will never die because too many in this country will never die because too many people care too much about it. But it will never go
because too many people care too much about it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And I thought, you know what? I stewed on that for a while, and I thought he's absolutely correct.
It is the point though, because like, look, I'm not a rugby league purist, right? So I'm probably in the but I'm in the camp of probably. I'm sat next to a Halifax fan. I'm probably in the camp of let some of these teams die. Like, I'm in the.
This is too soon, Meg.
No, but I'm in the.
Get out the car.
I know, but I'm in the. If it's a fight between having one Premier competition or continuing on this trajectory we keep going on of trying to like amalgamate 3 leagues and then all these different things where it's fundamentally not sustainable, I'm in the camp of contract to expand, not expand to contract.
I think you've got a problem where the brutal reality is
fundamentally, Matt, look at the NRL. They pissed a load of people off.
Yeah.
From these clubs and made the NRL.
The brutal reality is the sport, with the money it's making right now, cannot afford to fund the number of teams that it's trying to fund.
It can fund the 14 that it's got in the top league.
And realistically, Meg, what's happened is clubs are starting to, be liquidated. Fair, Halifax, Salford. Salford's a different case, but you're going to see it more and more because how have we got onto this, by the way? Because
it's the point that Brian made about caring too much.
The reality of the situation is the distribution's gone down and down and down.
Yeah.
And, we forget London Scholars went. There's been others that have gone before.
Who was it, the Welsh team who Carl Forster was in charge of, who did brilliantly and then had no money?
North Wales.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got, you're going to get to it. You've got Barrow at the minute saying, fundraising for a hotel and coach trip for the team. And stuff like that. Unfortunately, I think you are going to see a reality where I don't want that to happen, but I think it just will naturally happen because the clubs can't afford with what they're getting.
Here's all our journalist friends who are going to stare at us.
What are they doing? Hopefully they've not realised it says.
Yeah. And I think that's what the point Brian's making with that quote is. Yeah. Is that we will never lose rugby league because we all care too much about it. Blinking heck, we'd all try and do something if it was that existential a threat that it wasn't going to exist. Sure. But it's because there are these pockets of these few thousands who care so much in these areas that end up being that we can't get it right with the distribution. We need to start getting it right because when we get it right, we have what Hull KR have just done over the last year and a bit. Yeah. When we get it right, we have 14 teams who can all compete with each other week in, week out.
And the brutal reality of it is, I know that there'll be people in the comments going, oh, but look at KR, they got relegated to the Championship, and they were, but the problem is they had a ton of money backing them in Neil Hudgell and da-da-da. So yes, it can be done, but it's not quite the fairy tale story that people want to make it out to be.
They also, when they came back up, they did things the right way in the sense of there is many a current Super League assistant or head coach who probably in their time went and did free sessions for KR for a bit.
Yeah.
And tried to help them get back on their feet.
And listen, there's the... Yeah, look, they did do things the right way. If you manage your club right and you run your business properly, yes, you can do great things. Let's not get away from that. But yeah. it's a bigger point that I was not expecting to discuss on this Simbin Short. But
no,
here
but
we are.
it's where you end up though, because you have this thing of, God, we want it to work so much, but we're not willing to take the brutal hit of making it work.
Just to bring it back to the game,
Yeah.
do you reckon that last week was a godsend for KR now?
Yes,
in hindsight?
100%. Because I think if they'd have absolutely battered York, I don't know if their mentality would have been the same. And also, so when we did our live podcast with Joe Whitbread, Ollie Gildart, Pat Carrigan and Ben Hunt, when we asked... it's on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, where Kim lifts off her nose the names and Kris Jenner goes up to the floor and picks them up and she's like, do you want the names back that you've just dropped? But when we mentioned to the KR boys about the loss to York, obviously Pat and Ben were like laughing and smiling along, like it had resonated with the NRL that they'd lost to
the new boys.
Like they knew that had happened and it was a big deal. So actually,
I agree.
I think if you said to Willie Peters, you lose to York, but then you win the World Cup Challenge, you win in Vegas, and maybe you win the next game after that.
Well, no, knowing Willie Peters, he would have done. No, I'm not happy with that.
Phew, excuse me. But yeah, I mean, like you were saying, they go to Vegas on zero competition. I can't help it. They go to Vegas on 0 competition points.
Yeah.
But they get to walk in Vegas and say, "Hiya, lads.
Yeah.
You know your Brisbane Broncos? We just beat them."
Yeah.
And what a moment that is for them to get to do that. And blink an heck if Willie Peters' stock in the coaching market wasn't already high. Oh, my God.
He's got to be England coach.
Has to be. Not even that though, but we always knew he would go back to Australia. I think he now will be going back with a heap of...
He's probably got a bigger salary coming when he does go back now off the back of that. No, look, fair play to him and fair play to Hull KR. It's interesting now. We've gone from a narrative with Hull KR of, they've got to win one. Now they've got them all. Now what do they do? Well, I mean, they obviously defend them, obviously.
It reminds me, and I know people laugh at the comparison, and they have before, but it is a bit Man City-esque in the sense of the Big Four don't want them to do it, and they've done it. So when City won that Champions League trophy, and obviously City fans were related and other people were related, but there was Man United fans and there was Chelsea, there was all these people going like, oh my God, they're actually in the club now, and they don't like that they're in the club. Sorry, Hull KR are in the club.
They are.
Hull KR are one of the big five.
Not even in the club. They're the club to beat right now.
Yeah, but
I know what you mean. They're in the top table.
They're not even that. They're in the. There's 5 Super League clubs who've done what they've just done.
Yeah.
And they've done it all. And look, there'll then be people who say, 1 year, let's see them do it again, and they'll keep changing the parameter for them, but they've done it.
And that's what KR have dealt with all the time. So it's been, can you win a trophy? And they even had little things like, I remember a couple of years ago they weren't winning games outside of Yorkshire. Then then they didn't win at Catalan, and then they've not beat Wigan, and every time they've been doubted or someone's put a question to them, they've just gone and done it. And that's what I admire about this team, is that mentally they just answer everything, and they come back. Look at us. I mean, we should know better. We've gone after Watchmen to York last week. Don't give them a chance against Brisbane. We should have known better, because every time we were writing them off after heading into the playoffs, we said no chance. And then they won at a counter. Do you know what I mean? Against Wigan. Well, they did in the end. They won at a counter, to be honest. Not a counter, but they won comfortably. Do you know what I mean? I just think
more comfortable than tonight.
So we're guilty of it as well. It's not just we're not the ones saying shame on you. We are just as guilty of this.
Yeah.
But at some point, I don't know why it is. I don't know if it's because it's the Hull KR smaller club than the power, the big hitters of Leeds, Saints, Wigan. I don't know if it's just we don't respect the team. I don't know what it is, but if we hadn't already,
I think it's that we've spent
chaos,
30 years understanding the competition in one particular way.
Yeah.
And we're now learning to understand it.
Well, you can probably go back. I wasn't around as much then, but you can really go back to when Leeds won the first one in 2004, and I'm assuming the conversations were similar about them back then.
And that's what, only 8 years in? That's not even like...
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, gosh, this club's starting spending big and doing whatever.
And, before Super League as well, Wigan had dominated. Leeds had really... I think they'd won a Challenge Cup in
you know what, for me as well, is like... It's a lesson to your Wakefields, your Hull FCs,
100%.
All of them.
Oh God, there must be some FC fans rattled this evening.
Well, there were some of them in some Brisbane colours, I know that.
Rattled.
But it's a lesson that if you put the money in the right way and you work hard and you do it right, we can have a Super League in which there are 8 teams going for trophies. And look, there are teams that are getting closer.
Yeah, there are.
But the issue they're going to have is they've got a Wigan, a Saints, a Leeds trying to go good as well. So, we've had Hull KR's moment. Look, it would be remiss of us to make any judgment on what they're going to do for the rest of the year at this current point in time. What I can say is they're probably going to have a very nice celebration and a very nice week in Las Vegas.
I'm going to Las Vegas.
So am I.
Can't wait.
And now I guess next they'll hear from us is maybe from you on some Leeds bits and bobs. We'll try, and then after that it will be in the US of A. What's that meant to be?
No idea. I just fancy doing it.
That was horrible. Never do that again.
We're going to do a competition, by the way. If you're not following us on Instagram and TikTok, like outfits of the day. You're going to pick who's wearing the best outfit, because Meg's adamant that everything she's wearing is remarkable. I think I've got some nice attire. I'm
not even going to get into this conversation because he owns a Disney shirt and a sequin shirt, both of which he said he's packing.
Disney shirt, it's not plural.
Shirts.
Thank you.
What a moment for you. Take that in. That's what you own.
And the sequin shirt is a beauty.
It's horrific, and I've made the point that if he wears it, I shall not be filming with him.
Your loss, not mine. And on that note,
we will see you soon. My arm is going to fall off.
Yeah, you've done well there.
Thanks. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Please do.
And we will see you. Actually, what are we calling it? Mega Matt on tour.
On tour.
On tour.
On tour.
See you in the US of A.